What's up, America? Neil here with Geauga Firearms Academy. Thanks for watching. Today I want to talk about holster setup. So I want to go back to some of our roots, how we started this channel, which is basically around concealed carry and helping you folks get that sorted out. I'm not going to talk a lot about products specifically. I'll tell you what products we're going to be looking at, but I really want this kind of be of a general understanding. If you're semi-new to concealed carry or thinking about getting into it, or you've been into it a while and want to see some other types or some tips that might help you out, that's really what we're going to look at today. So let's get started. When I talk about holster setups, I want to talk specifically about concealed carry, both inside the waistband, outside the waistband, accoutrements that can be added to these things, and really what kind of holster you're looking for based on a lot of things. Also, just going to give you a little heads up here, this whole bag is full of nothing but different attachments. It's just par for the course. And that's one of many boxes of holsters and holster parts, and it's going to be a journey. So just understand, getting into that's kind of the deal. Obviously I have a lot more than your average carrier, because I work with different companies and test out equipment, and it's kind of what we do for a living. So I get that I have more than most, but you're still going to come into the bin of holster stuff. So let's start with some basics. First and foremost, this is a duty holster. There's several different manufacturers that make them. They all have levels of retention, all the way up to 4 different levels. But basically, there's something that unlocks the firearm, take it out. This is not for concealed carry, and not what we're talking about. Now, when we're talking about the setup, there's 2 types of setups that we're going to be discussing. The outside the waistband setup and the inside the waistband setup. And then, again, as I said earlier, as I alluded to, the things that you can put onto a holster to make it more comfortable or more concealable, or whatever the case may be. So these are 2 perfect examples. This is for an M&P, not that it matters. This is a typical 1 in 1,000 companies make Kydex. It's a material that gets heated and gets formed to a gun, and they use either the real gun or something like this. Doesn't really matter, but it has a retention from friction, meaning that it squeezes. Now this is an outside the waistband. Now, what's important to note about this particular outside the waistband is that if we look at it, you're going to see that it has a curve, a contour to it, okay? And companies try to market things and call it their own things, but basically what we're talking about is it contours to the body. So depending on where you're going to carry this, and typically, if you can't see from the camera, I'll turn it this way, there's 2 attachment points, okay? Probably against my white shirt, you probably see that pretty good. Those 2 attachment points are typically made for people who carry in the 4 or 5 o'clock position like I do, which is going to be back here. By the way, you're going to see the term IWB and OWB. That's inside the waistband and outside the waistband. That's all it means, but you're going to see that from time to time. So having the 2 points and kind of stretching it out along the width of the holster kind of helps distribute weight and helps to attach the holster comfortably to the body. And again, because of that contour, it makes it a little bit easier to conceal and a little more comfortable. Then we have companies that are coming up with innovations. This particular company, one of my favorites, this is Blade Tech, and they are very revolutionary in some of the stuff that they come up with. But this particular holster, I believe it's called the Eclipse. It is not carved. So if you noticed, as an example, that curvature, okay, again, probably on my white shirt, you can see that pretty good. This doesn't have that curvature, it's straight. And the reason it's straight is because it allows you to switch this from one side to the other, meaning that if you go to the range, or you have buddies that come and train with you or whatever, and they don't have holsters or whatever the case is, this can be a right hand side holster or a left hand side holster. And basically all that happens is, you won't be able to see it on camera, it doesn't really matter. There's a little release tab, this guy slides off, and it can be slid on with different attachment points. You can also add different stuff to it. So again, a very innovative product. These are loops. So another thing to understand about concealed carry setups and holster setups is what type of attachment points in general do you want. So this is the most secure. It is an entire loop. The only way to put this on is to run your belt through it. You want to take this holster off, you're going to take your belt at least far enough to get it to undo the loops. But it's the most secure way. Then we have simple clips, which we'll get into in a little bit. Then we kind of have hybrid, where they're like a whole loop, but there is a release. So again, this is the loop setup. Clips are faster, but not as secured. And this holster, as I said earlier, is for left or right hand. If you guys are with me, 2 points, typically 4 or 5 o'clock. Then we have what's more of an appendix style. So appendix is where your appendix is, hence the name. And it's typically, not always, but typically, it's a single point clip simply because it allows that to be put on the appendix position and there's not as much bulk on it, okay? Is there manufacturers that make appendix with 2 points? Of course there are. I'm just talking about in general, okay? So this is by Holster. So they make a good product as well. I had a lot of experience with them. Another thing that you'll want to look for on holsters in general, inside or outside, is this little guy right here, the screw. That is a tension adjustment. So tension for retention, meaning when I put the gun in the holster, how firmly does it hold the gun? And then you can hear with this one, again, Holster makes a good product. You'll hear that click, and that's not going to come out unless I want it to. So very cool. And then I can make adjustments on that screw to make it tighter or looser, depending on how much retention, friction retention that I want. If you go with a company that has a holster that is designed for light, like my current setup, so I have a light on my pistol, my carry pistol, the retention for that holster is going to be on that light. So unlike a duty holster, all right, that will lock into the port area and made of metal. It doesn't matter whether you have a light on there or not. So this gun does not have a light on it, but it's got a light bearing holster and it still locks in there perfectly because it's attached to the port. Most of your concealed carry holsters are going to be attached to the light itself. So as of right now, if you have a light bearing holster, then you have to have a light on your gun to put in that holster or it won't retain properly. Here's another, again, it's not a brand thing, but just so you understand, this is by 4Bros. They make a great holster as well. What's unique about this is, if you look at this one from Holster, they have a single plastic clip, okay? Single plastic. This, I think they call this the monoblock, if I'm not mistaken, but this is an all metal, I don't know, aluminum or whatever, and it is very, very secure. It's also a single, even though there's like two little, it's a single attachment point, so not on each side of the holster, right up front. And I don't carry appendix, I carry 4 o'clock, but this still holster is great. And we'll talk about some other things here in a second. You're gonna see that there's a little opening back here and there's a piece of that aluminum that goes the opposite direction. So when the belt is run through here, that is locked in by that tooth or claw or whatever you wanna call it. It's on both sides. Would this hold as well as a solid loop? Well, of course not. But this has never come off on anything I've ever put it on. If you have a good quality belt, which is another discussion, we have videos on that. Don't walk around with a fashion belt, carrying a gun, get a gun belt because it's much more rigid. There's a core of some sort inside there, usually, or it's thick, heavy leather, whatever the case is, but it's built to carry and have weight bearing on it, okay? So that is a single point connection point for appendix or 4 o'clock. Let's talk about wings or claws. Every company's call them different things. It doesn't really matter. Holster actually makes something called the sidekick, which is what you're going to see on their holster. What's unique about this is, and we're talking about this right here to be very clear, that little claw or wing or whatever you want to call it, what it does, and I'll show you with a belt here in a second, it keeps the grip of the pistol tight to the body, because that's really what we got to conceal. At the end of the day, this part of the gun doesn't really matter. It could be another inch longer. It's not going to change if you're worried about printing or whatever. This distance and this distance from the body are what matters. So by adding this, and the reason I'm telling you this is that you can add it to any holster. So if you bought a holster and you wanted to add this extra, again, it's called the sidekick. You just take the adhesive pad, wipe it down, stick it on there, and you're good to go. So the way this guy is going to work, and I'm just going to use this belt as an example. This belt is one of my favorite belts in the world. It's made by Core, K-O-R-E. They're a great company. Check them out. But that clip will go on the belt. Now, obviously, this is an IWB, or inside the waistband, because your body's in here, clearly. And you can see that the claw or the wing or whatever you want to call this guy is pushing against the actual belt. So when I put a gun inside here, like so, it's going to take the grip and pull it towards the body. So I'll show you what it would look like if we didn't have one. We're going to use the blade tech, kind of the jack of all trades here. This obviously the belt would run through. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. But once I put the gun in there, there's nothing that actually holds the gun closer to the body. Okay, so again, this is something you could potentially add to this. But this part that sticks out, think about as your body is more like shaped like this, right? That end that sticks out, regardless of where you put it, is what your shirt, pokes on your shirt or whatever the case is. So what we're trying to do is put something in there to bring it closer to the body. One of the things that's difficult is I just realized I don't have any holsters that don't have that wing or claw on it, so other than that, the Blade Tech, that's how much I believe in those. There is another product out there. I haven't used it. One of my buddies that you see on here all the time, Daryl, he's used it, but it's called the Wedge. We'll put a picture of it here on the screen, but essentially what it is, it's a soft piece of like foam material, and the purpose of that is it actually goes on the holster. It's adhesive, it sticks on there, and it does something very similar to the actual claw or the wing or whatever you want to call it, and it keeps the gun tilted, the grip of the gun tilted toward the body. Okay, so it's basically pushing out and pulls it towards the body. I haven't had a lot of experience, as I just said, but those that have used them seem to really like them, so that's another option that you can add to your holster. And again, it's something you can add to it. It's not like you have to buy the holsters already that way. Kim brought up a great idea off camera. There's 2 videos that we made. There was a male and a female version of it about how different people carry, what kind of guns and what type of body types and so forth. One of the guys on there has the Wedge, you can kind of see that, but it's also a good supplement to this video to kind of see how other people do it as well. One of the areas that I think gets confusing, especially if you're new, is that if you carry outside the waistband, then you can't conceal carry, and that's just not the case. Clearly, I can't just wear I mean, I don't know how it would be possible, but maybe if it was big enough. This concealment holster, which is what this is, it's an outside the waistband like we talked about earlier. It's contoured to my body. So if you live anywhere where it gets a little chilly, if you were wearing a hoodie or a sweatshirt or something like that, it would be very easy for you to keep this. And again, it's going to keep the gun very tight to the body because of the 2 points and the curvature. And then you can put your shirt or sweatshirt or whatever you're going to wear over top of it. And so you're still running concealed, but you're running the gun outside the waistband. So again, just to be clear, just because it's outside the waistband doesn't mean you can't carry concealed.
I thought I would jump in real quick and tell you how I carry, because just in case there's some women watching, or it might be helpful to hear just another view. So Neil talked a lot about full Kydex holsters, but this is actually one of the ones I carry, and just like as Neil mentioned, even though I do run it outside the waistband, I like it because it's starting to get chilly here, so it's a lot more comfortable to carry with the gun outside of your pants than inside, because you have to buy bigger pant sizes or take that into account when you're buying pants. So one of my favorite holsters. Another one I really like is from Vetter, and it's kind of a hybrid one, so come on the table and take a look. So even though it is fully Kydex, there are leather attachment points, so it makes it more comfortable against your body. I had another Vetter one that was all leather in the back, so these are an option if you want something that's a little softer against your body. Another company I really like too is Alien Gear. They also make a hybrid, so what's against your body is neoprene, and then the front is Kydex. I'm a girl and I want to wear cute clothes sometimes, and sometimes I have to wear a different holster so I can conceal. So my other favorite is the Filster Enigma, and I do have a full review of it if you want to check it out and how it works, but I can put it over my clothes if you want to see. So we have a band that goes around your waist, and what's great is you don't need to wear a belt, you don't need to wear anything with belt loops. You can wear leggings, you can wear a skirt, you could even wear a dress. And ta-da! Now I would have this under my leggings or a skirt or dress or whatever I want to wear, or even if I just want to wear pants without belt loops. And what's great is that leg leash helps so that when you go to draw, the band doesn't move up and down.
All right, guys, well, hopefully that was helpful. That was basically holster setups, kind of give you some general ideas on what you're looking for, what you're trying to do. It's probably going to change multiple times. I would recommend that you carry in different positions, whether it's appendix and 4 o'clock. I can give you all the reasons why, but that's not what this video is about. But you should have your own set of whys and why you pick something that you do, so that you know that you made an educated decision and that you have some experience to back that up. You know where to find us here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon is where we put all our premium content. We're also on Rumble. Until next time, remember, it's always better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6.